So just a quick look at the markets tonight, and I just want to get a feel for where the main charts are ready for a direction for tomorrow. So the Dow futures, well, the certainly IG was running a market today, and we've seen, I think the main futures market was open for a short period. So we've pulled back to support at 446 and closed slightly higher, and this little blue bar here is Sunday's bar. So if we look as if, sorry. So at the moment, big move up here, pull back to support, pull back, move into resistance, chop around, sell, pull back, through resistance. This was resistance, this is now support. Support's been bought, and we're sitting up here, just underneath this box that I've got drawn here. The box is drawn because of this price action here. So when we come in tomorrow, we need the Dow to push up to these levels here, possibly pull back and then do a gap fill if I'm to continue to buy this market. If not, if we squander this and start to sell off, then obviously I just need to short pullbacks. Drop back down here, short pullback, and wind it down. Path of least resistance has got to be up because we still have the daily ATMA just about here, and we have the 20 MA under here and the 50 and 200 down here. Okay, so this is a very bullish chart, so I'm not looking to short this market until we get some reasonable signals. Let's look at the FTSE, which was obviously working today. That's a bullish consolidation with a higher close. And if I pull back from that, you can see the main target is 68.72, and then the fib move could potentially take us to 7,100. Obviously 7,000 is going to be huge. And we're only 162 points off of that. So broken up 2 big days, busting through this trend line. All the pullbacks getting bought to 6,800 roughly, and there we are at 6,840. So we have a bullish market on our hands. And in response to that, we're seeing a push up in gold. The more energetic a market, the more chances are of inflation. More chances of inflation, then the more chance we've got of gold pushing up. I think gold's in a little up channel at the moment, so I would look for, I think 1275 is the next target. I'm going to pick up. I'm going to talk about position sizing in a minute. So we're just going to go through the charts and talk about position sizing as a theme. So major resistance above. Up here. So I mean that would ordinarily tell us that the Aussie US can come up, and yet we are at the moment struggling. So if we push back above, close above 88.22 tomorrow, oops, I would look to buy that. Now I've had a couple of longs up here before. I took one long into, can't use this drawing tool today. So we had, this is a huge weekly support. So we had a little hammer up here on weekly support, and we ran up into that area there, and we've been selling ever since. But the danger is we get some real volume in the markets tomorrow, touch 88, and then just resume down. I mean, that is still in a downtrend. But close above 88.22, and I would start to nibble long on that one. So what I meant to do was I meant to flick through a few more indices charts first. So let's get back to the indices. Indices. DAX, German DAX looks the same as the FTSE. That has not only closed the gap from the new year, but his pullbacks to it are getting bought, as opposed to the Dow, which has not closed the gap. Nikkei. I always keep an eye on this Nikkei. I think the markets at the moment are taking a lot from this Nikkei. Abenomics has involved a huge amount of liquidity coming in this market. Basically, what I'm saying is that the new Japanese Prime Minister, well, new, he's been there a while now, has been very aggressive on quantitative easing. So if we can close above this level here, this to me would be the signal that the bull market is still intact, like the Dow. But if we can't get through here and start closing underneath here, then this is a wedge to the downside. I think the path of least resistance is up, but we just need that proof there. So I keep a close eye on that one. Let's look at oil while we're here. I nibbled on some oil at the lows today, because what I'm seeing in this chart is a huge area here. So we had the big move into resistance, but 93 is holding today, so I'm just going to hold this one to see if we can close above. This is a March contract which gets delivered in the early part of the drive season, so I'm looking for this to pop back to 95.80 area. If we can close that high tomorrow, close above that high, I think that could do something, which is one of the reasons why I was just keeping an eye on the CAD to see. What have you just posted there, Nigel? I can't make out. Okay. I'm in this rough rice. Why am I in this? Because we've got big move up, pull back, big move up, pull back, big move up. 50 and the 200 is here. This is the major support line, which is getting bought last week. If we could just, we have got a little reversal bar off of this trend line. Trend line is taken from that high there, and that high there, and that low there. So we are, that's the only thing going against it. Well, I've got two things going against it. I've got a reversal bar, but it was a higher close. And I've got the, okay, trend line above me, but in my favour I've got all moving averages in the daily chart underneath me. So if we can break out, I would look for, my target on this one would be we're under 50%. I would look for at least 158.68. And ideally, if we really run from if we can close above this 50%, then I would look for the round 160. Now the grains, I've been very wary of the grains. The grains are just not doing it. Once we broke this 604, we have not been doing well. And highs are just getting sold, and last week was no exception. On the corn, I was tempted to start buying this corn because of that big move to the upside. I originally said I would hold out for this 421, which I'm still could potentially buy. We are below the 8 and 21. 8 and 21 is up here. Hammerlight bar. We have got some decent support here, but yeah, ever since this big bar here into resistance, we've just been selling. Start closing above 427. Yeah, I would buy a pullback if we start closing above 427. But I would, in an ideal world, I'd like that to come down lower to the bottom of that box, put in a reversal bar down here, and that will get me interested. In the meantime, we're just flailing around here, not spinning top bar there, just not doing a whole heap. I just don't like it. Every time we drop, pull back, we drop, bit of a higher pullback, and we drop again. It's just really sloppy. Okay, this is out of season, and we are coming into grain season, which is why I'm looking at it more and more. But this is a March contract. I think it's going to be the next contract that should start to see more volume come in. Okay, other commodities. Let's have a look. Cotton. I mean, that was proving itself. Lovely rounded bottom here. Push up, pull back. Push up, pull back. The lows were higher. The highs were slightly higher. So when we bust out of that, that did show that we had the potential to get up to that. Not a great chart from the point of view of this. Any moving average above you reduces your chances, but that was a nice cluster down here, and all the moving averages got really knotted down here, which is always a good sign. So the path of least resistance had to be up. Where could you got in? I hear you ask. Well, we have stopping bar here. We had another stopping bar here. I mean, the fact we were holding the 50 EMA with a stopping bar like that, you could have risked. What I tend to do these days, I like, the tighter to stop the better. I don't like losing money any more than anybody else does. That was a decent support level, so you could have gone on a cheeky, put a cheeky order out for a pullback to that 50 EMA, which you got. Otherwise, if you're more cautious, that 83.43 wasn't bad. Sugar acting like the grains, or certainly the wheat. The beans are dodgy from the point of view that we've got this 200 in the way. Nice support, held nice support down there. What would interest me? It's got to be a close above 30. Yeah, there's no other option other than to wait for close above that 200 EMA, at which point you're going to get into a lot of congestion. So it's, if I tell you what I would do is I would set an alarm for a pullback to this trend line. Oh, why is that not gone on? Yeah, I would definitely set an alarm here. A lot of history around this price. So if we rolled over, this was resistance, this is now support. A lot of action here. So pull back to that level there. If we held, at least put some sort of confirmation bar, closed, came below it, closed above it. That's not, pretend that's blue. If that was blue, I would buy that pullback to see if we can break out with a stop just underneath that level. So keep an eye on the beans, because if when they do go, they move well. Right, Forex, and then we'll do some stocks. And obviously the chart to watch has been this one. Pound yen. Nice trend line coming in from June, July, October. So we finally get the move up on November 20, and then all pullbacks are getting bought, and the pullback on the 13th was no exception. I did squeeze a few pips out of this today, but volume was so low, I didn't risk hanging on to it. I was trying to get on with some work as well. If we break 171.44 tomorrow, then I think we can get back up to the highs. What we've seen from this one is, though, that it has been a good trending chart, but you tend to get big move a few days to one side, a few little bars up, and it eventually cranks itself up, but then drops, a few days up, drops, a few days up. So we are struggling. You know, this fib area is big, but the point was that this area here, the 50%, has been holding really well. The low of today was the test of that 50%. So all the time these pullbacks keep getting bought, you just need to get in and see if they work. Okay, so any pullbacks to 170.80 area or lower if we're lucky could see that lifted up to back up to these highs, and a similar thing could be said of the pound. That's actually slightly stronger. 8 and 21 EMA are underneath it. We break 164.50 tomorrow. The trouble is with this week is we've got quite a low level of data. We're very quiet tomorrow, very quiet. There's no US data whatsoever tomorrow. CAD manufacturing. Okay, UK jobs on Wednesday with the unemployment rate. So we're looking for that. Looks a little conservative if recent data has been anything. Any increase in that unemployment rate, and I think the pound could drop quite hard. We're looking at the markets looking for improvement. CAD base rate, okay. The CAD base rate at the moment is relatively high. Well, 1% seems crazy saying that's relatively high, but it is. Thursday, still not an awful lot of UK data. Not a lot of US data. So US weekly jobs figure on Thursday. It's a quiet week. This is a very quiet week. The only thing that could shake this up is either UK jobs on Wednesday or the CAD rates and CAD retail sales. Let's now look at some CAD pairs before we move on. I was looking at this CAD yen. Because I think that's a hammer-like bar here. So we've got the 200 EMA there. We start closing above 95.22, and I think that could get back to 96.50 pretty quick. We could be seeing the bottom of a W pattern. The confirmation will be 95.22. So I would be looking for that, and even on a swing trade that will give you quite a low stop. So CAD yen is probably the one to watch. If CAD does gain strength, then this US dollar CAD will drop. We have got a spinning top up there at the moment. Drop out of that, break that low. I could come down and test that support. Very high RSI. Of course, it could go the other way if the data is weak. That one could shoot up. Pound CAD, spinning top. Pound Aussie dollar, let's move a bit faster. Pound Aussie dollar, weak. Now I would be a buyer of this one. If the Aussie starts to come up on the back of that gold, I would be interested around about that level there if it drops that hard. It's potentially a box play here. We just poked ourselves out of the box temporarily, as we did down here. I would be interested in buying the bottom of the box on that one, and so I would put an alert to see if we can come down and test that level. Okay. Just going to look at a few stocks. Let's look at. Well, since the UK has been active today, let's look at the UK. This one has. I've been watching this one a lot. This is FGP, First Group. Lovely pattern down here. Breaks up hard, drops back to the 50 EMA. So could have bought that at 117. It topped out at 143. Coming down to the 200, I want a decent pullback in this one. I'm going to trade this one. I want to buy this at, well, ideally 125. With still high RSI, so yeah, I wouldn't trade that until that comes down to at least 126. I'm interested in, these banks have been very buoyant, so I am interested in buying pullbacks in these banks. I'd like to see 275, so we topped out at 298. I was banging on about this at 252. I like these patterns down here. So I would put an alert for 275. Barclays. Lloyds is much tougher to trade. Let's see what RBS and the others are doing. So RBS is a buy at 337, 338 because of support. HSBC. I would consider buying lower. I would consider buying that if we do drop. I think that's quite neat. If we saw 665 and we held, I would buy that to see if we can break above 700 or 70, I should say. Standard Chartered. Potential head and shoulders here. Crashed into that trend line. major support down here at 1297. So if we start flapping around in this apex and drop to 1300 and hold, yeah, I would buy that support. We have divergent RSI, a push up to, we come all the way from 1238 up to 1350. So I would definitely get that. This is a major wall here now, so I would definitely consider that. Let me look at my list. Yeah, this is Goldman's. I've got an alert set for the 170.33 on Goldman's. Potash, I've got 3 levels set there. Ideally, I would like that to at least come down to 32.84. Let's look at some tech ones. Apple, nasty. Baidu, back to the box. I still think Baidu is a bit too expensive for me. I'd much rather we came down to these lower levels before I started nibbling at that one. On my list, I've got. Let's just look at a couple more techies before we move on. Nuance, that was on my list. No, that's looking weak and flapping around. Skyworks has gone. That's gone. Don't like it. Digital River. Potential bull flag, but risk reward ratio is capped by all this price action up here. I think rather than take up a lot of your time, I have to go through some of those techs independently. Oil. Yeah, this NGLS came up on my scan. I think this 50.75 is holding well. So if I buy a pullback on that tomorrow at say 50.90 or 50.85 with a stop under 50.14, the risk reward ratio is quite nice for that if we can get up to 54 and break. So yes, we had a hammer on the 200, pushed up to 52, 56. I would put some capital in that. I'm just going to quickly flick through some of these oil stocks. Oxy, out of favour. Noble, not doing it. NFX, no. COG. If COG closes above 11.18, yeah, I think that stands a chance. If we can close above that, I think we could start to wiggle up. So that level is interesting to me. Not bad. That one's long since gone. Interesting to. Let's look at one that's gone, because that spent a long time in this range, broke up, spent another long period in a very similar range, and then once it broke up, yeah, very next day it closed above that box and spent 2 days retesting that box 127 before pushing back. So if you box that bar, and even if you just traded the breakout, traded the break of 128 with a stop under 117, you would have caught it. But if you had, that's a tough one, because you're basically buying high. Yeah, we got the benefit of hindsight. We can see that it's busted through 153. But that's how I would play a gap play. Box it off and see which direction it goes in. So that's beaten up Hero. Exxon, XCO. That is a reversal that high. So that's a cloud. That's a cloud setup on XCO. We've also closed above resistance. So that's a pullback at 482. However, the stop's relatively large. You're going to have to go under 460 on that. 220 point stop if you're trading that in a spread betting platform. What do you guys think of that one? What do you think of XCO? Anything? Not enough to go on yet. Okay. Yeah, fair comment. I wouldn't have an issue with just waiting another day on that. In its favour, let's look at what it has got in its favour. We've got Divergent RSI. We've got one Divergent RSI, 2 close above resistance. Risk reward ratio is not great actually, because we're going to have to risk that much capital for that much reward. That sort of almost that cancels it out. That actually cancels it out. I should have seen that just by eyeballing that. Never mind. Okay. Diamond Offshore Drilling. I've been keeping an eye on this one. I like it because it's got that much support down there. It's pretty feeble. I'm not even going to put it on the list at the moment. It's very feeble. Rubbish. Very rubbish. Is that shortable? No. Got a hammer underneath there. Nope. COP. Chevron. Nope. No. Okay, so the oil stocks are pretty pathetic at the moment. Let's just a quick look at the miners and then look at the UK miners first because they've been active today. These UK miners are doing well. They're liking the gold. Rand gold, look at that. That's a buy at 40.27 if you wait for a pullback on Rand gold. Polymetal, that's a buy. Right, we'll look at some US gold miners and then we'll pack up. Rothschild. Gem Diamonds. Fresnillo, I mean. So even good old BLT's going. That was a hammer a couple of days back. That's AQP, that's doing okay. And Tafagasta, I can never pronounce that one. It's okay. Right. I'm just going to look at the very, very quick look at US gold miners. And then we can pack up. Goldcorp. That's a buy at 22.74. Risk reward ratio is not bad. You're going to have a lot of resistance at 2060, 2070. Actually, yeah, 250 is major resistance, which would involve breaking through that trend line, which I think we can probably do. So if you have to be patient for a good pullback. Risk reward ratio is you're gonna have your stop 2 bars back. If you're lucky, you can get 2.5. Let's say 295. Risk reward ratio is just about in there. You're just about on for that one. So let's pick up some other US ones. Let's look at some silver miners as well. PAAS. That's already gone. Nice rounded bottom. HL. Hecla Mining. Yuck. It's not. Oh, it's okay. Not great. NEM. Newmont. With Newmont, I would, if you want to trade Newmont, I would hold out for at least a retest of 23.95 and then tuck your stop under 23.48. Resistance, a lot of localized resistance in that one. I think GG's better. I think of all of them, GG. GG. Yeah. I would do it. Ed, I would look for scans in some of the copper miners, and you can pull that up in Finviz. Look for the basic materials and scan through some of those guys. I think that's where we need to go on this. Okay, I'm going to run off now. I've been at my screens a long time now. Any questions before we go? Yeah, any of the... Let's look at copper. Last thing, look at copper. Where's copper? Typical, I haven't got it. Why have I not got copper on my list? Yeah, see, copper's already coming up here. Look. So the gold and the copper or the metals are coming up nicely, with the potential for the oil to come up as well. So keep an eye out on the oil stocks, but I think the miners are, particularly the basic materials, not so much the gold miners, but the basic materials are good to look at. Okay, US or yen. Yeah, I should have looked at that, shouldn't I? That's a key forex pair. 103.95 is good support. We're just pulling back this big buyer's bar, aren't we? Yeah, I think break 104.25 tomorrow. Again, if we can wait for a pullback into that hammer, try and get 104, because then your stop's much closer to see if we can bust into 105. Okay, thanks for joining me, guys. Yeah, let's look at this. Let's look at the 4 hours and the 1 hour on that. Let's drill down a bit. Come on. So that's the 4 hours. And this one's, what am I talking about? That's pound. US dollar yen. So we've got this resistance right above us. Hammer-like bar here. Hammer-like bar on the 4 hours. We just need to try and get a better price. Between the 50 and the 200. So if we can't close above 104.15 tomorrow, that's weak. US and pound yen on the 4 hour. Looking good, looking good. Okay. Thanks, guys. See you either in the room tomorrow or catch up with you very soon. Have fun.